regulatory reform. It actually, this morning, reminded me of one of my first speaking engagements when I worked at RIPEC. And it's a good story because it kind of gets things moving in the morning. Gary Sass was the director at the time, and he called me at 7 o'clock in the morning one day and said, "Pete, I can't make this presentation. Can you take care of it?" I'm like, "Sure, when is it?" He said, "7:30. All right, so I get dressed as fast as I can, and I drive out to, I think it was in Seekonk somewhere, and it was on education reform and funding formulas. It was an area that I had worked on, and it was my first week at RIPEC, so it was, hey, this is going to be a good gig. Come to find out, it was Leadership Rhode Island, and it was over 500 people in this room. And I walk in, of course, 5 minutes late, and Peter McWalters, the commissioner, was doing his spiel on school finance, and I get up there, and they had one of those podiums that was just a table and a pole. So I do my spiel, and as I'm sitting down, the commissioner leans over and says, "You know why you got a standing ovation?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Your shirt's been sticking out of your zipper for the last 15 minutes. If I told my father that, he literally would kill me. But that was my start towards this track of working for the Office of Management and Budget. We've been fortunate. Governor Chafee invested some time to create this new Office of Management and Budget. And the design around it was to begin developing a new way of thinking about not only the budget, but other things that we are doing in government to make it more customer-friendly, to make it more efficient, and by all means, make it more focused on fiscal discipline. As you know, it's been a number of very difficult years in the state, and it was time to start making some investments and figuring out how we're going to get down the road next year, not just the next week, which often is how state government and local government often think. They think about tomorrow, or even today, but they don't think beyond that. And so this is an opportunity to start plowing away at some of those issues. The office that the governor created really has 4 key functions that it's looking at. One is really to enhance the state's public finance systems and the budget process itself. As you know, it's a messy process. It's not an easy process, but there are ways to try and make it work a little bit better to make more informed decisions in the whole, in the interest of the state. The second is to get a better handle and monitor state departments and agencies and how they're performing. We often say we put money into these programs, but at the end of the day, is it making a difference? Is it doing what it was intended to do? Are there opportunities to redirect resources to things that might matter more? The third is, as you know, in the last couple of years, we have received a considerable amount of federal money through the ARA program, the stimulus program, as many of you have heard. We have a grants management office that has been doing that and working through that for the state. Well, that era is starting to end, and people have looked at, what about the other federal grants? We spend over $2.5 billion a year in federal money in the state budget, and there's really not a lot of oversight. There's really not a process to make sure it's prioritizing the things that matter. Oftentimes, departments just chase down federal grants because they're just looking for money, not necessarily to accomplish a specific goal. So there's another function that we want to use the OMB to kind of help hone that process a little bit. And last but certainly not least, and Leslie's going to talk a little bit more about this morning, is really establish that clear, predictable, and reliable regulatory environment to make it easy to do business in Rhode Island. And Leslie is certainly somebody that we're grateful to have on that team and lead that team so we can move that forward.